Merrill from Dragon Age is very special to me. I see myself a lot in how she interacts with the Kirkwall gang, and I think she's very fascinating and a very empathetic character. She's the girl who flew a little bit too close to the sun, the girl who thought she had it all figured out, the girl who's a fish out of water. Merril's story in Dragon Age II is one of a woman stepping out into the world and trying to follow what she perceives to be her destiny, and maybe self-sacrificing and destroying her life in the process. Merrill is one of the companions that makes up the Kirkwall gang in Dragon Age II, but she's actually introduced in Dragon Age Origins as a temporary companion for the Dalish elf Origin. This is also the start of her character motivation in Dragon Age II as well, which is really cool to see how this story from an optional starting point in the first game becomes more of an overarching character story for a character in the future game. Merrill is first to the Keeper in her clan. She's being trained to become the next Keeper, so she holds a lot of knowledge on elven history and lore. She's basically a Dalish historian and maybe also a bit of an archaeologist. This little fact sets her up to be very curious and eager to learn, which I'd argue is a core character trait for her and also something that motivates all of her actions. Maybe not all, but definitely the biggest actions in her story. There is more to being a keeper and the first to the keeper than history and knowledge, but that also seems to be Merrill's bread and butter. She's a skilled mage and loyal to those that she cares about, but she does have a lot of growth to do before I think she would be ready to step up and actually be a keeper. Keepers are basically leaders of Dalish clans. They hold a lot of history. They're also supposed to help archive and preserve Dalish history, because elven history in the universe of Dragon Age is something that, for the most part, has been lost, especially when it concerns ancient elven civilization. So this is something that is important to elves, so it makes sense why their leader would also be tasked with preserving their history. Merrill is very naive and inexperienced when it comes to actually interacting with others and living in the world, both in and outside of Dalish clans. It's one of the things that characterizes Merrill as the little sister vibe that she does have in Dragon Age II, to the point that if you kind of start a romance with her and then end up turning her down, Hawk can tell her that they view her as a younger sister, and that is the energy she brings to the party.
Why do you even like me? I must seem so dull. What brought this on?
I think she is a bit younger than the rest of the companions, and potentially Hawk, depending on how you interpret your character, and the relationships that she builds with the Kirkwall gang feel very sibling-like, especially with those that she is more friendly towards. But back to Merrill's history, she was actually born to a different clan than the one that she spent her life in. Born as the third mage in the Alarian clan. Anyone who watches my Dragon Age streams know that I do struggle a lot with pronouncing things, and I'm really sorry. Merrill was given to the Sabre clan to be the first to the Keeper, Merithari, when she was around 4 years old. Dalish clans do try to keep the number of mage children low in order to make sure each mage has the hands-on teaching that they need to survive and thrive with their magic and connection to the Fade. Being a mage is something that could be potentially dangerous to not only yourself, but those around you, and while the Dalish elves don't completely ostracize and lock away their mages the way the rest of Thedas seems to do, they also try to approach it with as much caution as possible. During the Dalish elf origin in the first game, the player works with Merrill to find Tamlin, who'd gone missing in an old elven ruin. The player and Tamlin had been hunting a group of humans that could endanger the clan due to how close they'd gotten, and in the process, the humans reveal a cave with elven ruins in it to the player and Tamlin. The player and Tamlin go to these ruins to investigate, since the clan's goal is to discover more about the history of the original elven civilization, and while investigating the ruins, Tamlin comes across a strange mirror that those who've played Inquisition and Veilguard may recognize as an alluvian, basically a fast travel mirror. Tamlin sees an underground city in the mirror, but when he touches it, it turns black, and some unknown entity reacts to Tamlin's presence. He pretty much disappears into the alluvian, and no one really knows what happened to him. Also, no one really knows what an alluvian is. It's something that's very, very mysterious and otherworldly, basically until Veilguard. But that's more of a because they're used for game mechanics. Much of the elves' history and information about their magic and how they lived has been lost to time. This does leave many, like Merrill, feeling a strong desire to understand and uncover what has been lost, trying to connect with their ancestors, their roots, not only to learn about the past, but to better understand themselves and how they fit into the world. Elves are heavily discriminated against in the Dragon Age universe, so it makes sense that elves that live kind of disconnected from, I guess, the greater society want to find this understanding and find this place that they fit into the whole grand scheme of things, because the rest of the Dragon Age universe seems to be very overly controlled isn't the best word, but the dominant culture is that of the Chantry, and elves don't really fit into that, to the point where the Chantry does erase historical elven figures, like the original Inquisitor. But back to Tamlin's disappearance. When he gets basically sucked into the Alluvian, the player passes out and is later rescued by my main man, Duncan. And everyone makes it home safely to relate the tale and enlist Merrill in trying to help save Tamlin. But after everything is said and done, Merrill is unable to do so. While she didn't cause Tamlin to disappear, she was unable to recover him and does carry this weight of failure. She becomes invested in trying to learn more, trying to gain more power in order to save her clanmate and her friend. Merrill is deeply loyal to her clan, almost to a fault, in the sense that she is willing to risk it all if it means helping her clan, if it means saving people, even if what she's doing may not actually help and save the way that she thinks it will. More on that later. One thing to note is that on this failed rescue mission, Duncan does reveal that the Alluvian is essentially blighted, emanating the taint. And y'all caught it. This confirms Merrill's findings that the mirror has unleashed a sickness. Merrill is unaffected by the taint though, and goes back to living with the clan, while the player is enlisted in the Grey Wardens, so they can survive the sickness. I do believe this brush with the blight has made Merrill feel like maybe she's built different. We know it was due to limited exposure, but I'm not 100% certain if Merrill thinks about that aspect a lot. She does have this energy of feeling like, well, I know the risks, so I'm built different because I don't know. She has this level of I believe I'm invincible that is very, I guess, stereotypical of young adults. In between the Dalish elf origin introduction at the start of Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age II, Merrill and the clan escape the Blight and end up in the Free Marches, making their way near Kirkwall. Also during this time, things change for Merrill. While at their camp that they live in Dragon Age II, Merrill and the Keeper were both called by the demon Audacity to come and free it. The two found it bound to a statue in a cave ruins on the mountain that their clan lived by, and Keeper Marithari stands her ground, leaves the demon to stay trapped. However, Merrill would find herself tempted. The demon offered knowledge, gave her a vision of ancient times. Merrill kept pieces of the Alluvian that Tamlin disappeared into. She kept it in the cave ruins, where she cleansed it of the blight, and she'd hoped that the Keeper would help her rebuild it, but the Keeper did not find it wise to do so. Keeper Marithari is cautious. One thing that shows how cautious she is in the Merrill short story. While they're in the ruins, she makes a note of, oh, if this was built by Tevinter, it's dangerous. If it was built by anything else, it's probably still dangerous. And while Merrill hears that and goes, I don't know about that logic, Marithari is also likely talking about the fact that they're in literal ruins, and I don't know about you guys, but I don't think ruins are known for structural integrity. She's worried about potentially coming across traps, or maybe worried about something collapsing. Like, there's a lot to be worried about, and the Keeper is careful not to do anything that would endanger her clan, at least not needlessly so. And she is very quick to see the danger in situations. Maybe she might remind you of an overprotective mother in some regards. And Merrill finds issue with this. Merrill approaches the world with a level of confidence and self-perceived invulnerability that is typical of youth. She believes that things will work out because so far things usually have. aside from Tamlin, but she's working to make that better. So it's still gonna work out in her eyes. Merrill eventually turns to blood magic in order to repair the Alluvian and in turn help Tamlin, who has likely died at this point, by the way, being infected with the taint, but also I would imagine being stuck in the crossroads, the Fade, would not bode well for survival, especially if you didn't have, like, materials to survive. Duncan did tell us that Tamlin was likely dead since he would have succumbed to the taint in the mirror. The Keeper knows this and thus sees fixing the Alluvian as an unnecessary risk. Merrill, though, is very fixated on fixing it. Even if Tamlin is dead, fixing the Alluvian would aid her in learning more about her people and their past. Merrill is committed to the archaeology grind at this point. Merrill works with Audacity, knowing it's a demon, and uses blood magic as cautiously as she can. Merrill knows the danger of blood magic. She's not stupid, she's just maybe a little unwise. She thinks that she knows what she's getting into here, so she also thinks that she knows how to protect herself. But her clan grows weary, scared of what she could potentially do. I do think Audacity being the demon here is worth noting. Audacity is a strong suit for Merrill, but it's also a flaw. She is very audacious. Audacity is the willingness to be bold and to take risks. Merrill is all for taking risks when it comes to what she's passionate about. It's her core character flaw, I would argue, and the Audacity demon being the one to get to her is kind of like shorthand for, hey, this character has that dog in him, and all the pros and cons that come with being a very audacious person. Like most sensible people in Thedas, the Keeper is against blood magic, against working with the demon. The ends are not going to justify the means. The potential outcome is never going to be worth the risk. And since the Keeper is against what Merrill is doing, the entire clan seems to turn on her. She becomes ostracized, but not out of cruelty, out of fear. Blood magic is widely feared in Thedas, and working with a demon makes one more susceptible to falling for its tricks, raises the risk of becoming an abomination, endangering those around you. And that's what Merrill's clan fears. There's also the fact that the Keeper also tells people that while Merrill has been messing around with the Alluvian, she also might have contracted the taint and could spread it to them, and that is scary as well. But on the other hand, Merrill sees this as her making a necessary sacrifice for her clan's survival, potential to thrive. She's become so twisted into the demon's words and into her own ambition that she can only see the potential good. The knowledge, the advancement in understanding, and the ways that her clan could use that information. Merrill genuinely believes that fixing this Alluvian could end the suffering of her people. Merrill is being pushed out because she dared to take risks, and that is all Merrill sees about the clan turning on her. She's frustrated that no one trusts her, and we even see later in the game how that distrust causes one of her fellow clan members to run straight towards danger and die, because they'd rather risk it in the caves than let her save them, because they've been told that she's potentially dangerous. They think that Merrill will hurt them, and all Merrill wants to do is help. Her intentions, her actions, they're all being twisted into something sinister and far from what she believes that she is doing. Merrill joins the Kirkwall gang by choice. The Keeper actually is kind of like, girl, you don't have to do this. You can stay. It'll be fine. But Merrill is very headstrong in wanting to go out and experience the world. When Hawk comes to the clan to make good on their word, delivering an amulet Flemeth gave them in the opening of the game, Merrill takes the amulet and Hawk up the mountain where she performs a ritual and Flemeth is revived. After this, Merrill joins the group. She wants to see the outside world and continue to study how to repair the Alluvian without a hostile clan watching her every move. They're ruining the vibe, and it's hard to study when the vibe's not right. The Keeper does remind Merrill she doesn't have to do all this, and she does still have a home here, but Merrill must keep moving forward. She must continue her search for knowledge. I'm not gonna lie, I believe it's probably best for Merrill to maybe experience a bit more of the world, and maybe she'll grow up a little bit, and that would help her overall as a character, but I understand why the Keeper is concerned. Merrill does find a place to live in the elven alienage in the lower city, and she makes a home amongst Hawke and the rest of the Kirkwall gang. The other companions warm up to her pretty quick, aside from Fenris, who is wary of all mages, and Anders, who is scared for Merrill, worried she'll end up a demon's pawn and abomination. Worried she'll end up like him. Most of the Kirkwall gang treats Merrill as a younger sibling, someone to teach and protect. Varric pays for her safety, even asking her to stop walking around dangerous areas at night.
Daisy, for my sake, please quit cutting through the alleys in Lowtown alone at night.
Nothing ever happens. I'm perfectly safe, Varric.
Yes, I know. And that nothing is costing me a fortune.
But the fact that he cares enough to, one, maybe try to talk to her about it, but more importantly, make sure that whatever she does, she's going to be safe, says a lot about Varric and how much he cares about her. These people love Merrill, platonically, like family, and I think that's beautiful. Isabella and Merrill also have a very sweet friendship, as Isabella takes Merrill under her wing, and the two grow close, bonding over their shared experiences in Kirkwall and girlhood. Merrill and Isabella talk girl stuff a lot, it seems, but with Isabella's character, girl stuff tends to be more like relationship advice, sexuality advice, learning about the worldly things, learning about, drinking games, and just silly things like that Merrill hasn't experienced, but would be a fun thing for Isabella to share with her. Their friendship is really dear to me, and I adore them a lot. On the more antagonistic side of things, though, Anders is always on Merrill's case. He hates her use of blood magic. She's not really helping the mage's cause by turning to demons for power, but it's also not safe, and that's the thing that he harps on the most. We all know it's not safe, and maybe I'm one to see Anders in a too favorable of light. Anybody that watches my Dragon Age streams could probably tell you that. Supporting Anders is the hard job, damn. It's usually not. I feel like it's usually not. But his interactions with Merrill, at least to me, feel more like pleading for someone you care about to stop being self-destructive, to see how they are endangering themselves and that it's not too late to turn down a different path.
Make up for your mistakes. Most blood mages never get a second chance.
The two often bicker throughout the game, never seeing eye to eye on the whole blood magic and demon thing, and from Merrill's perspective, who is Anders to tell her not to do what she's doing? That man's possessed by a spirit. He is in no better situation to judge. So that's probably not helping their case. Merrill does truly believe that since she is aware that she's working with a demon and that she should be careful, that she will be fine. She logically knows that it's dangerous, and she's come to terms with that. And in a way, coming into the situation with that knowledge makes her feel equipped to not fall like every other mage working with demons. She sees Anders as a poor soul who was deceived, not realizing he was working with a demon, and is now stuck with the consequences. She pities him, and is as equally condescending towards him as he is towards her.
This could be you. You could be the next monster threatening helpless girls.
Anders, there's no such thing as a good spirit. There never was. All spirits are dangerous. I understood that. I'm sorry that you didn't.
They dish shit back and forth, and both people, it does come from a place of concern, I would argue. Merrill's relationship with Hawke can be friendly and encouraging, or rivals who clash on the whole blood magic and alluvian, mostly. She either has a strong supporter in her corner, or another obstacle standing in the way of what she feels she must do. However, at the end of the day, Hawke is still a good friend to Merrill, rivaled or not. Somebody that she cares about, somebody that she's grown close with. And Hawke does end up having a little bit more sway over Merrill than the Keeper did. And Hawke is also put in the position of either being able to help Merrill or directly keep things she needs from her so she can't fix the alluvian. Regardless of what Hawke decides to do, though, Merrill does seek out to reconvene with Audacity, leading Hawke and some friends up to the mountain to speak with the demon bound to the statue. Merrill is aware that this is dangerous, which is why she doesn't go alone. Merrill does all of these things to kind of put in fail-safes. She's like, hey, if something happens, Hawk can take care of it. If something happens, I'll do this. Things like that I feel like would make her feel like she is going about things super safe, super cautious, and that lessens the likelihood of something going wrong. Unfortunately, she is wrong. But she is right to be worried and take these precautions because Audacity's been kind of quiet lately. But once Merrill and the gang actually make it to where the statue is, we find out that the Keeper, in an attempt to keep Merrill safe, sacrificed herself to the demon, letting it free from the statue and letting herself be possessed. The demon had been planning to use the Illuvian to escape its bindings, and Merrill was to be its first victim. An argument could also be made that the Keeper didn't want Merrill to fix the Illuvian at any cost, and that maybe this is all a metaphor for either keeping the status quo or not wanting to let Merrill go. Throughout her story, the Keeper had been urging Merrill to give up this quest and to come home. This could be read as a few different things. A metaphor for a caregiver having a hard time accepting their child is all grown up and trying to hold them back, or a leader wanting a member of the pack to know that they're not actually cast out despite all that has happened. And also, a leader scared of what unknown fate awaits them if the Illuvian is fixed. A fear of change as the Keeper holds on to tradition and holds on to the ways that haven't failed her yet. I don't think there's particularly one specific correct way to interpret the Keeper and Merrill's relationship, and I think all of these things can be true at once. Either way, the Keeper dies in an attempt to protect Merrill, and to protect the status quo of the clan, cutting Merrill off from the demon and its knowledge, from potentially fixing the mysterious Illuvian. To be fair to the Keeper, she knew the mirror had the taint, and had spread it. It's reasonable to be worried about the mirror spreading the sickness again once it is fixed. The Keeper was in an impossible situation, trying to balance what she knew and what her responsibilities were with what Merrill believed and was working towards. Regardless of what you do, Merrill loses her Keeper, her clan leader. And the clan either dies attacking Merrill and Hawk, or she is asked to leave, forever cut off from the clan that raised her, removed from the history she so desperately wanted to preserve. If Merrill and Hawk are friendly, with Hawk's full support, Merrill mourns her clan, but is also frustrated that they didn't listen to her, that they didn't believe in her. She truly believes that restoring this ancient elven technology would end the suffering of her kind. She doesn't understand why they can't see the good she was working towards. But as it stands now, the Illuvian is fixed, but it doesn't do anything. She doesn't really know what to do next. Talking to Audacity was going to give her the knowledge to keep moving forward, and now she's stuck. If Merrill and Hawk are rivals, she never actually finishes fixing the mirror, and she does grow to see her fault in things. She realizes that she had been falling for the tricks of a demon, and realizes she'd been stupid and ignorant. Her words, not mine. I do believe naive is the best way to describe it, and I think being naive is a little bit different from stupid and ignorant, but maybe it's all the same thing and I'm just picking at semantics. Merrill realizes the ways in which her actions have hurt others, and falls in line with the wisdom that the Keeper had been trying to share with her, shattering the Illuvian, stopping the potential risks it could bring. The rivalry system in Dragon Age II is so interesting in how it provides a path for character development, but in different directions. In Merrill's case, if Hawk is friends with her, she doubles down on her ideas, and pushes forward despite any warnings from those who may know more or be wiser. In the context of Dragon Age II, the Illuvian is a mysterious and potentially dangerous thing. That's all we know about it, and that's all the information Merrill has to work with. It is absolutely a character flaw to double down on putting yourself and others in danger for the sake of advancement and knowledge. Merrill is willing to risk her own safety, her life, if it means progressing her people's knowledge of their past. And while this isn't inherently a bad thing to desire, it does say a lot about Merrill. She'll dive in headfirst to anything that could help her learn. She's hungry for an understanding. She's desperate to know her history. Ancient elves are mysterious and largely unknown, especially at this point in the game franchise. Merrill is still doing her best with what she has to work with, and that includes demons and blood magic to amplify her power to achieve her goals. I'd argue it's a similar character archetype to the scientist that's willing to forego morality and ethics for the pursuit of knowledge and experimentation. Not all that different from the baddie Gillenane. The only thing that separates Merrill from this sort of archetype, though, is her good heart and her pure desire to help, using what she learns to help others, not just learning for the sake of learning and damning the world in the process. I full-heartedly believe that Merrill would not go as far as Gillenane and risk ruining the world if for the sake of, experimenting. And I don't think, if Merrill knew for a fact that what she was doing was going to, kill everyone she cared about, I don't think she would do it. However, she's not gonna weigh that as a possibility super strongly if she believes there's a way to avoid it, whether that's true or not. On the other hand, it is absolutely growth for Merrill to recognize her own naivety, to see the ways in which she ignored the wisdom of those who sought to protect and guide her, and how that caused things to turn so poorly in the end. She realizes that risking the lives of herself and those around her is not worth learning something new about the past. As much as I understand this desire to reconnect with your ancestors and to have this stronger understanding of who you are and where you came from, protecting the people living now matters more than trying to uncover the truth of the past. And that's the biggest lesson Merrill has to learn before I think she would be ready to be a keeper, in another life where she didn't leave the clan and be forever closed off to that future. In the context of Dragon Age II, Merrill's story isn't really about the history and fixing an ancient relic. It's more of a cautionary tale about self-destructive behavior and the unintended consequences of the naive thought that you know better than those wiser than yourself. If she fixes the mirror, she still doesn't really know what it's for, and it doesn't do anything. No one is helped. Within the game's story, fixing it does nothing. And knowing that an Alluvian is basically a door into the crossroads where you can basically fast travel to other places with Alluvians, I'm not so sure how much good fixing a mirror would do, knowing that most of the Alluvians in the world are broken and out of use. Although the amount of Alluvians we use in Veilguard, maybe the impression that there's not that much to go through out there in Inquisition was more tied to what we were trying to do in that game specifically. But also, Veilguard is 10 years after Inquisition, so who knows? Maybe some people fixed a lot of Alluvians. That's beside the point. Merrill's story resonates with that dumb young adult inside of us. Her story is also tragic because even with the best intentions, danger is still danger, and your actions can still harm those you care about. And there's this underlying sense of what she's doing may not even be the key that she was hoping for. There's no way to get a good outcome for Merrill, because the most damning choice she made happened prior to the start of the game. It's not something you can influence. Although you can influence things to reduce the fallout, you don't have to kill her entire clan if you're good at talking to people. But you can't stop the tragedy from striking. The Keeper's going to die, and Merrill is going to lose her clan either through blood or just socially. And it's a lesson Merrill has to learn firsthand. She has to learn that she's not invincible. She has to learn that her good intentions won't be enough to stop bad things from happening, from people reacting poorly to her risky behavior. And it's a lesson she learns best when you rival her. Unfortunately for me, it is hard to rival Merrill while also being friends with Anders, or having a moral compass in regards to mages, especially if you have Merrill and Anders in the party at the same time. They approve of a lot of the same stuff, but I do love that rivaling a companion isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's not them hating you, it's just you challenging their worldview, and vice versa, and forcing them to think of another perspective. And at the end of the day, I think Merrill benefits from that. She benefits from someone she cares about and respects challenging her, someone who's closer to her in age, someone not tied to the cautious traditions that may hold the Keeper back, someone who's willing to take risks like Hawk but knows when to play it cautious. Hawk's way of challenging Merrill's worldview is impactful to her, and while she presses on stubbornly, she eventually comes out the other side learning where she went wrong, which is more than what she does when you fully support her. Merrill flew too close to the sun, but it wasn't really her wings that got burnt up, but it was the people that held her up in her life that got burned. The Keeper, her clan, mostly. But there's an argument to be made that maybe her self-destructive behavior that she exhibits with working with the demon would eventually impact the Kirkwall crew negatively, if you ignore the fact that they don't really hang out anymore after the game. There's a lot that happens in Dragon Age 2, and the world state does kind of get pretty messed up, so they don't really have time to hang out with people. But it wouldn't be a stretch to say that if Merrill never learned where she went wrong, she would continue to stumble and maybe even fall prey to the demon that she thought was her tool, if that makes sense. I love a good self-destructive character. I think their stories and their character arcs are deeply fascinating because more often than not, self-destructive characters have good intentions. They want to help others. They'll give up themselves if they think that it will be beneficial to some greater good. And while Merrill is selfish to some degree, she's also very selfless in the sense that she, in her mind, is willing to take these risks to help elven kind. And it's this bigger thing she's working towards, this bigger thing she's sacrificing herself for. Whether it's worth it or not, that's not really my call to make. But I just think it's interesting, and I like her a lot. And another thing fascinating about Merrill is the whole fish out of water aspect. She's a lot like Lae'zel from Baldur's Gate 3, just experiencing the world for the first time, or the world outside of the close-knit community in which she was raised. And Merrill also, the way that she doesn't get jokes, is a little awkward about social things. It is giving autism warrior, and I think that's why I connect so much with her, because in that regard, I relate to her a lot. I'm not selling my soul to a devil to further understanding my people, but I am learning about the world for the first time, and definitely struggling with some social things that we see Merrill struggle with. Although that's not really like a big point to her character, it's just interesting flavor to her personality, and I think that's cool. I like that. This is what stands out about her character to me the most, and I like rotating her in my head like she's in a microwave and just watching. She's the bug under the rock that I like to study. I say that a lot about a lot of my favorite characters though. Anyway, that's it for me. I do want to get back to making more Dragon Age character analysis videos. Unfortunately, I'm still making my way through Veilguard, and I feel like I need to finish Veilguard before I talk about Morrigan. And there's tons of characters to pick from if I ever feel like talking about Dragon Age again. So if you're interested in RPGs, Dragon Age characters, definitely stick around, because I do stream Veilguard every Tuesday. We're like a little over halfway through the game, so there's still a good bit left. And I also have a lot of Baldur's Gate videos. I know those Dragon Age and Baldur's Gate hold hands. Anyway, other than that, I talk a lot about anime, if you're new here. But that is it for me, and I will see you guys in my next video, whatever that may be. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you also love Merril Dragon Age 2. She's so cool. Anyway, bye!